It looks like a sprayed-on finish, but it was made with a paintbrush and everyday latex paint. We are turning you into a secondhand paint pro today with keys for getting the super smooth look and feel that you see right here. We're bringing in a voice of experience to do it. Pat Stika, the Handy Grammy joins me, and you bring so much experience. Talk to me about some of the DIYing you've done.
I've done a lot. I bought a fixer-up home 5 years ago. My late husband was a woodworker. He was a luthier. He built guitars. We had the Great Salt Lake Guitar Company down in Provo for 35 years. So I've been around woodworking forever. So when I bought this fixer-up home on my own, I knew what I was in for. I've refinished floors, you know, basically done from top to bottom. But one fun project was the stairway I worked on. Oh, there's a picture of it there. You're gonna love it. So yeah, we just put some wallpaper on the risers and then use that vibrant cobalt blue, and it's a wow factor. You walk in and you see it, and it makes the whole house just say, okay, time for fun, you're here.
Yeah, it's a wow factor and a happy factor.
Yeah.
It just brings happiness when you see that. And you had another project that really got some notice, and I noticed it. We're talking about this green fridge. Tell us about this one.
Okay, so I work for Brittany Jepson, who's the house that Lars built, and we did a project for a streaming program last year, and we took a panel-ready fridge, we built a cabinet for it, and then it just looks like its own little cabinet. It doesn't match the rest of the cabinetry in the kitchen. It's standalone. The reels on that went viral. There's over 2 million views. So that's really popular, really fun cabinet that I built for them. I've done a lot of projects.
You hand-painted those flowers.
No, I didn't hand paint.
You didn't? Oh.
No, I didn't hand paint those flowers.
But it was your idea.
I built the cabinet. So the panels that go onto the doors, the cabinet that holds it all, the painting of the green, the adding on of the handles, all of that I built, which really came in handy, you know, a month later when one of the kids broke the handles off. I'm like, I know how to fix that. I built this. I can put it back together, and we had it fixed in no
again,
time.
Just a happy factor to have that green fridge with the flowers out of nowhere.
Oh,
so fun.
It's striking.
Yes. Now let's talk about your current project.
Okay.
And this is what is in front of us. This glossy desk that you did a makeover on.
I did. Just picked it up at the DI, $30 desk, but it's solid maple. You don't get solid wood for less than several $100s if you're going furniture shopping. So you can take an old desk like this, and if you treat it right. Now on this one, I cut out a little detail. I added the scallop.
Oh, you added
down
that.
there. Yeah, I cut that out just with a little jigsaw, just to give it my own personal touch.
And we promised we'd tell people the one thing you needed to do to get the glossy finish, because I think that's the problem a lot of people have when they try to repaint furniture. So what is that tip?
You have to sand. So you have to go through all the different steps of sanding. So you start with a low grade sandpaper like a 60 or an 80, and that really strips off and gets down to the bare wood. Then you work with a 150, and then a 220, and then a 400. I have this board. Okay, so this is 400. Ooh. This is no sanding.
Wow, so this is super rough and bumpy and grooved. Yeah. And then this is just completely smooth.
Right.
So that's after doing your process of all the different weights of sandpaper.
Just take the time to sand, and then you'll get that beautiful finish.
Okay, so you have some renovation rules. Tell us what your formula is.
I say first you have to pick your project, because this is a solid maple desk. It's going to give life years to come, 80 years. We were standing on this desk to hang curtains. It's sturdy.
Yes.
Yeah. So pick your project with something that is going to be worth your time. Okay, and then after you've got a good solid item to work on, you're going to strip or sand and get the old paints, the old dents. You're going to bring it to the point where you can say, okay, this is worth my time to paint.
And before you start sanding or anything, you really need to know what type of wood that is. How did you know that this was maple? Yeah.
Because for 45 years I've been around wood. But it's pretty hard to tell if you've never been around wood, but there's wood like this, which is chipboard, and it just has a little veneer on the top, and
sometimes so you can kind of see that on the side, and then just the veneer. You can't. You wouldn't be able to sand this.
You can sand it, but you're going to have to prime it if you want to paint. You're going to have to put primer on that in order for paint to stick to that. And it just doesn't have the durability factor. It'll break easily. So if you're a college student, it's what you can afford, go for it. We've all been there. It'll end up at the thrift shop next time. But I wouldn't buy that and then put my hours and energy into it.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so we pick our project, and then we need to make any repairs that might need done.
Right, you're gonna make any repairs. Maybe sometimes you'll have to glue a drawer, or this had really deep gouges in it, so the sanding was really the repairs that I did on this one. It was sturdy other than that.
And then how did you remove any old finish, or how do we remove any old finish that might be on there? Is that the sanding takes care of that?
You could strip it. If I wanted to use a stain on this instead of using paint, I might just strip it with a stripper instead of sanding so much. But either way, it just depends on the project, what you're looking at, what it's gonna need. Stripping is really only necessary if you feel like there's no other way. So if there's lots of detail work and you can't really get in there with the sander too easily, then you might use a stripper. Other than that, sanding is great.
Okay, and besides the sanding, what other tips do you have for us to get that smooth finish?
You're going to sand in between the layers of paint. So you'll paint, and then you're going to sand with 400 grit sandpaper, and then you'll paint again, and then you'll sand. So this top has 4 coats on it. So that's how I get it so smooth.
So in between every layer of paint, you are sanding. So you're letting it completely dry and sand. And your last one is just putting on those finishing touches. For me, for you with this desk, the scallops. What else are we talking about?
Well, I did a fun little detail. I always like to do something extra on my projects. And so, for instance, on this, I just painted a fun stripe on the side there of the doors. So that's just for you. When you open up the door, you've got that little bit of spunk. Keeps your day going fun. You know, I switched out the hardware, and that was just for me too. I just like this design better than the colonial style that was on it before.
I think that can make a huge difference.
Personality.
Yes.
Put your stamp on it.
We see your personality for sure in all these projects. And you have one right now. What are you working on?
Oh, it's so fun.
Okay, what is it?
So it's my kitchen table met with a disaster last year. See that big square dark spot? I just left a cookie sheet on it for a couple days. I was growing some seedlings, and there was water seeped under it, and it ruined the tabletop. So I tried to sand it and preserve the beautiful top, but I went through the veneer. So then I'm like, I'm just gonna paint this, and I went to town. So I put stripes and scallops and a little vine of flowers, and it's actually for a contest with Bear Paint that they're doing right now. You can find it on TikTok, and you can find it on my Instagram. But it's a really fun. It's done now.
Okay.
So when I walk in the kitchen, it's just like, hey, hi. I don't even have to use a tablecloth. It's so fun.
Can't wait to see that finished project. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for sharing your secrets with us. We appreciate
Thanks for having me.